Hi book lovers and welcome to Bookmas Day 7. Crazy to think that we are over halfway through Bookmas already. But for today's video, grab a drink because we're going to chat about the new releases for 2025. And obviously I'm not going to cover all the new releases, so any of the releases that you're very excited about that I haven't mentioned, please let me know in the comments. And I decided to talk about the new releases that I obviously very anticipate. And then I have a special section where I'm going to talk about the 5-star predictions of 2025, and there are a few that I'm super excited about, also a few that I just found through my research and I thought, wow, they seem so interesting. And I have the releases chronologically, so we're gonna start from the releases in January and make our way through the year. I mean, it's not that I don't think the other releases aren't gonna be good, I'm just not as confident that they're going to be 5-star books, so that's why I have different categories basically. But let's start with the new releases. They're going to come very soon in January, and the first one I have here is Beg, Borrow and Steal by Sarah Adams. And who would have thought that a Sarah Adams book would make it onto my anticipated new releases, because I really didn't enjoy her books before I read that particular series. Her books definitely are more in like the sweet and almost a little bit silly category. They are also closed door romances, so if that sounds like something you would like, then I think, you know, Sarah Adams would be a great author for you, but it's not really what I enjoy in a romance. However, the When in Rome series is just so good. We're following like 4 siblings in total, and I just can't wait for this book, which will be Emily's. And I didn't love Emily too much in the first book, I will be honest, but over the time in the second book she definitely grew on me. And in this book you have her and Jack Bennett, and I'm pretty sure they're nemesis. It says 2 feuding second-grade teachers and neighbors find themselves teaming up in this rivals to lovers romance. And yeah, I'm definitely excited for this one, especially that this is going to come in less than a month. I have one more book for January, and that one I'm also very excited about, and that is Spiral by Bal Cabra. I waited for this book so long because this is the second book in the Off the Ice series. They're interconnected standalones, and the first one is Collide, and I've read that, I feel like, such a long time ago, like sometime in 2023. And back when I read it, it was indie published, and then a publisher picked the book up, and then Collided was relaunched this year, and it took forever to bring out the second one because it was picked up by a publisher, which I understand and I'm happy for the author, but I had to wait so long now to get the second book that I almost feel like I kind of need to read the first one just to see like if I get clues about the couple, because I remember really enjoying the first one. We have college hockey romances, so it's definitely not that there is something particularly new to the books. Like, I love a good hockey college romance, and I really enjoyed our main characters in the first one. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Icebreaker by Hannah Grace because of the main characters. And that brings us to our February releases, and I've got quite a few February releases, and I will say that I'm kind of shocked by the first one that I didn't put it in my 5-star predictions, but that is Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood. I am so excited for a new book by her. Ellie Hazelwood is definitely a favorite author by mine. I will say though that not all of her books are 5-star reads, and especially her romances are usually not, like, they're very close to a 5-star, but usually not quite the 5-star feeling. But I think that might be the reason why I didn't put it in my 5-star prediction. However, I won't be surprised if it ends up being a 5-star, because this is also a college sports romance, and I'm so excited. Also so excited for Ellie Hazelwood trying something new out again, but also in her like writing style, because this is about, I think, 2 swimmers, but I feel like she's gonna dive in the plot again. Pun not intended, but I think Ellie Hazelwood is just very good at like giving us a lot about a specific hobby or topic. You know, it was the same with her chess romance, Check and Mate. Like, I didn't really know anything about chess, and I also didn't really care, but I loved the book and I love to learn about chess, and I'm sure it will be similar in this one. And I just really like that she, you know, really dedicates something to a specific hobby or a specific topic. She really leans into the themes, and I just really love Ellie Hazelwood for doing that. The next one I have here is Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey, and lately I didn't really have the best luck with Tessa Bailey, but she used to be like one of my favorite authors, so I definitely put her new release up here as well. It is part of her latest series, and I've only read the first one, with the golfer, and then the second one was with a hockey player and a nanny romance. And I think I will pick that one up before I go into the third one, and I think that is also hockey romance. And the plot for that one just sounds kind of cool because I think they have like a one-night stand or a spark, but then they find out that their parents are going to get married and they actually be step-siblings, which is just such a fun twist on like the whole step-siblings theme, because usually I wouldn't really like that, but you know, because the kids are already adults, also when the parents get involved, that I think this could be very interesting. Kind of gives me Serena and Dan vibes from Gossip Girl because of that, even though this is a hockey romance. The next one I have here is On Screen and Off Again by Caitlin Cross, and that one is also one that I just found by coincidence when I went through my research. And something that I like really like, because I think it gives a lot of tension, is how, you know, actors have on-screen romances and that sometimes also turns into off-screen romance, but then they break up and still have to work together as a couple on screen. And I think, like, I don't know how they do that. Like, could you imagine doing that with your ex? And I think this book kind of leans into this. It says, a romantic will they won't they debut with a Hollywood twist for fans of Love and Other Stories and Every Summer After. So I guess like a second chance romance actually. Ooh, so they both were stars on this kids show and they also dated, but then the show got cancelled and they get casted for a show together where they have to play a couple. And obviously they've worked together before, so there's chemistry, but when they worked together they were also a couple and now they're broken up, and this just sounds like so much tension. It's also a debut novel, and I think the cover also just looks very, very pretty, and a cover is always a good possibility for me to be drawn in. The next one is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, and I only read like a couple of books by B.K. Borison, and they were part of the is it the Love Light Farm series? And I really liked them, but I wasn't like obsessed with them. But I definitely saw potential in her writing, that I would enjoy books by her. I think just the setting of the small town for Love Light Farms wasn't something that I was always in the mood for. And I don't know, but I feel like I should finish that series at one point. Anyhow, she's coming out with a new book, First Time Caller, that is not part of the series. And I also have to look up what the synopses are. First of all, the cover is gorgeous. We have a hopeless romantic meets a jaded radio host in this cozy Sleepless in Seattle inspired love story. Then I think Sleepless in Seattle is probably a movie, but I don't know that. So he's a radio host for Romance Hotline, and she calls to ask for love advice for her mom, and I think this call goes viral, and I think therefore the two of them kind of like lean into that. This sounds interesting, and I think I'm gonna pick this one up. The last one for February I'm so excited for, and that is the third book of Emily Wilde's series. And wow, when I read the first Emily Wilde's book, I definitely didn't think I would love it as much as I do now. I think you just need to read it at the right time, and I definitely did that with the second book. And I think if I pick up the third one in like February, March, like that will be still such a cozy time to read it, and I'm just so excited. Like, I'm definitely attached to these characters now. They're like cozy, very atmospherical fantasy reads, and there is a small like romance plotline in these books, but don't read it if you want like romantasy. It's definitely not those books, but it's just so cozy. And I also think that our characters are quite unique, and Emily Wilde, our main character, she's a professor who studies Fae. She's not a very social person, and she much prefers to like study, but understanding humans and relationships is a bit more difficult for her, and I just love her journey. And yeah, I'm just very, very happy to be back with these characters, especially because I thought it would be just a duology, but apparently we have a third book. That brings us to our March releases, and again, the first one I have here is Our Infinite Fates by Lauren Stephen, and I will have to look that one up because I can't remember. Wow, the cover, gorgeous again. Oh yeah, this sounds like a very epic love story. It says, the invisible life of Eddie LaRue meets This Is How You Lose the Time War in this fantastical love story that defies death as two souls reincarnate through the centuries. They loved each other in 1,000 lifetimes. They've killed each other in every one. Evelyn remembers all her past lives. She also remembers that in every single one she's been murdered before her 18th birthday by Arden, a supernatural being whose soul and survival is tethered to hers. The problem is that she's quite fond of the life she's in now, and her little sister needs her for bone marrow transplant in order to stay alive. If Evelyn wants to save her sister, she'll have to, first, find the century-old devil who hunts her through each life before they find her. Second, figure out why she's being hunted, and finally, break the curse. Third, try not to fall in love. Oh, yeah, I know why. I remember now why I put it on this list. Like, this sounds so interesting. And I also think this is going to be just one book, so not a series. And yeah, I'm very excited for this one. I haven't read anything before Lawrence Stephen. I haven't heard anything of this book, but I'm very, very excited. Coming out in March, actually on the same day, we also have Finlay Donovan Digs Their Own Grave by El Casimoso. And I think this is going to be the 4th book of the Finlay Donovan series. 4th or 5th? I can't remember. I think maybe it's even the 5th one, to be honest. I think I've read 3, but I haven't read the latest one that is out yet. But yeah, the 5th one is already on the line, and I don't know how many books we're gonna get of the series. I don't know if I will read all of them, because I really enjoyed the last one that I read, the 3rd one. I think that's my favorite so far, and I definitely want to read the 4th one. But I also feel like, how much longer can you drag out, you know, the story? In the first one, you followed Finlay Donovan, who has it quite hard. She's a writer, but she also has a writer's block right now. Her husband cheated, and now they're getting a divorce. She has 2 kids that she has to handle on top of everything. And when she talks to her agent about her newest book, she talks about a kill because she's like a thriller mystery writer, and another woman overhears that and actually thinks she's an assassin. So she wants to like book her service and wants Finlay Donovan to take out that woman's husband. And well, it's just the whole journey from there, and it's just very, very fun and cozy. Definitely not like a realistic plot. It's just very enjoyable, and it also has a very great friendship. And I don't know, I think this also just shows you how messy your life can be when you're a single mom. But now that was all for March, let's go on to April releases. And I feel like April is always the month where most books come out. Like, I don't know how the publishing industry works, but April is like the top month for new releases. And I don't have too many here because a lot of the new releases I have as 5-star predictions, but even the ones that I wrote down here, like, I am super excited for. And I think I like have to bring you down a little bit. The first one I have here is Wild Eye by Elsie Silver. And I didn't have the best luck yet with this book series. I've also only read the first one and I didn't really like it. Like, overall, I really, really like Elsie Silver's writing. It is so easy and you really don't have to think about it. And when the characters hit, like, they hit hard. And I think Wild Eye is going to be the 3rd book in the series, so I want to read the 2nd one before that. But I mean, it's going to come out in April. I still have some time. However, I'm definitely more excited for this book than the 2nd one because we gonna have marriage of convenience in Wild Eyes, which is one of my favorite tropes. So yes, I'm super hyped for that. But also the characters we're gonna focus on in this book, I am so excited about, because Rise is one of the guys that I was intrigued by from the very, very start. And I think in this series, they're all going to be single dads, if I'm correct. And let me check who the girl is. By the way, I said Wild Eyes, but it's actually Wild Side. Wild Eyes is the 2nd book that I will have to read before this one. I think her name is Tabby. I think you get a lot more like hints for that couple in the 2nd book, so I definitely want to read it because it's not only marriage of convenience or like arranged marriage, it's also enemies to lovers and they hate each other, or at least she hates him, and I am pumped for this book. Like, I think I could have probably also put this on my 5-star predictions. But I don't know, I think it's just because I didn't have the best luck with this particular series. But I mean, I also only read 1 book in the series, so how much telling is that? Not really. Then we have Watch Me by Tara Murphy, and this is a spin-off series for the Shatter Me universe. And I mean, it's been quite a few years since the last Shatter Me book came out, so I think for like all the diehard fans this is super exciting. And I finished the Shatter Me series this year. I definitely really like the series. And this one follows James, who's the younger brother of Adam in the Shatter Me series, and he's like maybe 10 or 12 in the Shatter Me series. So in this one he's gonna be grown up, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna see like glimpses of the other characters, and just for that I want to read this book. Like, I don't think I cared too much about James, to be honest, but to get more of Juliet and Warner and Kenji. Like, I'm super happy to get more. And I think it's also smart to do like a spin-off series and focus on another character that we haven't seen before. Because, you know, the Shatami series, there are 6 books and even more novellas. And I don't really think you need to like open up that story again, but I think to do that with James and a time jump is very smart and interesting. Next up in April, I feel like she's always coming out with a book in April, is Anna Huang's new book, King of Envy, in her King of Sin series. So this one is about Vuk and Ayana. And Ayana is about to marry Vuk's best friend, but he really likes Ayana. But Vuk does know that the marriage is actually arranged or like a business transaction, because then the guy she's going to marry gets his inheritance and she gets the money to leave her abusive, not relationship, her abusive agency, because she's a model. I definitely didn't have the best luck with Anna Huang this year, and I will definitely read this book, but I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to continue with her other new release. Maybe I will wait and see what the reviews will be for that. I mean, I can quickly tell you when that one is going to come out. It's The Defender, and it's the Gods of the Game series, where the first one came out later this year. And that one's going to come out on the 28th of October in 2025. But yeah, as I said, I didn't really enjoy the first one, and I'm definitely not excited for the couple that that book is going to focus on. So I think the only new release I'm very excited about for Anna Huang is King of Envy. And yeah, I feel like her books can always be hit or miss for me. She used to be definitely like a solid proof author for me, and I would say that her writing is still enjoyable, even if I don't really like the plot or the characters. That's probably why I always go back. But yeah, I definitely can't say that this is going to be a 5-star read. Like, I just don't know. Another April release I have here, I'm so excited for, and that is The Condition of Will by Jessa Hastings. So by the author who wrote or still writes my favorite series, which is the Magnolia Parks universe. And she's coming out with a new book, which really surprised me, because the Magnolia Parks universe, like the Daisy Hates books, they aren't finished yet, and I'm pretty sure she hasn't even started the other books. So what is up with that? But then there's also the Never series, which I didn't read because even though I love Jessa Hastings' writing like so much, there's nothing that compares. I feel like the reviews for the Never book were really bad, and you know, I don't want to do that to myself, especially when I really like the author. However, the Conditions of Will, like the cover, those covers are just so beautiful that she comes out with. And I thought, since I haven't tried out the Never series, that I might jump in on this series. And I don't really know what this is about. So, London-based Georgia Carter, professional lie detector and body language savant, has long been estranged from her infuriating, close-minded, wealthy South Carolina family. After a falling out years ago, the chasm runs deep down the black sheep, Georgia and her gay, alcoholic brother, and their parents and elder siblings. But when their father dies suddenly, Georgia returns to the States for the funeral, where she comes face to face with Sam Penny, her brother's AA sponsor. Amid the tension, dramas, and revelations of the family reunion, Georgia and Sam are instantly drawn to each other. However, Georgia's brother also harbors feelings for Sam, and the last thing Georgia wants to do is hurt the only family she's ever really had when their father's will revealed surprising bequests to a mystery stranger. What? Okay. This sounds so messy, but I feel like if Jessa Hastings can do one thing, then that is give us a very messy plot, very messy characters, and I usually eat it up, so yeah, I'm excited for that one. That brings us to May, and I have 2 releases here. The first one is The King and the Moth by Rachel Gillick, and I haven't even read her other duet, which is the One Dark Window series by her. But I am so excited for this duology, and I think this one is also, again, like a gothic style romantasy. And in this one, the characters are like omens, so they can see visions of the future, and I don't know much else. But I will definitely read the One Dark Window duology soon, so I'm ready to jump into a new release. And also coming out in May is It's a Love Story by Annabelle Monaghan. I don't know anything about this book, guys. I haven't read anything by Annabelle Monaghan, but I have the goal to read I don't know how many books are out there, if I can say all of her books next year, but I want to dive into her writing, and therefore obviously I'm also excited for her new release, because it's also called It's a Love Story. Like, I'm pretty sure that that is something I'm going to enjoy. I love the covers, and the thing is that Destiny from BookTube talked so highly of her books that I'm super intrigued, and I can't believe I haven't picked up one of them yet, but I feel like they all look very like summery. So as a mood reader, I want to read them during the summertime, and I will do that next summer. That brings us to our June releases, and I think the next release is something that a lot of people anticipated, and that is the new release by Taylor Jenkins Reid, Atmosphere. And I think she hasn't come out with a new book in quite a while. Like, there wasn't a new release from her this year, and I'm not so sure about last year. So I feel like a lot of people have been waiting for a new book by her, and I only read 2 or 3 books by her, but I really enjoyed them. There was one that I didn't really like, but overall I think she's such an incredible writer, and I definitely have other books by her on my radar that I want to read at some point. It's just that she writes like general fiction, and I feel like they can sometimes be a bit heavier, that I definitely shy away from picking them up, but I want to read more from her. And also her new book, Atmosphere, sounds so cool, because we're following a woman, I think it's also set in like the 70s or 80s, and she wants to become an astronaut or like work at NASA or something like that, and we're following like her journey and her dream. And I think Taylor Jenkins Reid is incredible to like focus on a specific topic. I'm excited for that one. And also coming out in June is My Friends by Frederick Bachman. Right now I started my first Frederick Bachman book, which is Beartown, and wow, like I read the first few pages and I was like, okay, this feels like a book I kind of want to annotate, so I'm going to read it a bit more slowly. But his writing is so beautiful that I definitely want to read more by him, and yeah, therefore I'm also excited for his new book. Also in June coming out is Ashley Poston's new book, Sounds Like Love. And Ashley Poston is also someone who I feel like has a very specific writing style, and she gives you something new with her new books, but it's also her. I really like her like author's brand, if you can say that. And I didn't put it down as like a 5-star prediction because I didn't love her release of this year. And in Sounds Like Love, we're following musical people, and I think they like have some voice in their head, and then they meet that voice in real life, and I think that's like the magical element that connects those two people or something like that. The only thing is that I don't really like to read about musical people. Like, I'm still gonna read this book and it can prove me wrong, but overall I'm just not a huge fan when it comes to very musical people or like a musical plot. Alright, August, I have my last new release on here that is not a 5-star prediction, and that's What Sleeps Within the Cove by Harper L. Woods, which is the 4th book of Flesh and Bone, and I really hope it's also going to be the last one, because that series, like, really, we have a love-hate relationship. Like, I need to read the books because I need to know what is going on, but I also kind of hate reading the books because the plot lines of these books are just so frustrating. If you want like a very spicy fantasy read, then I definitely recommend this series. Like, I kind of feel like that this one, you know, when you watch like trash TV and you know it's not really good quality TV, but it's still enjoyable. This is kind of how I feel like about this series. So it's nothing where I say, oh, don't ever read it, but also don't expect like a masterpiece. But having that said, let's go now to my 5-star predictions. And I'm so excited for these books. Like, guys, we need 2025 now, and I'm going to do that chronologically again, starting with February. And in February, immediately, when it's gonna come out, 18th of February, I am in the bookstores and I'm going to get Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. This is the 2nd book in the duology for The Heartless Hunter. The Heartless Hunter, one of my favorite books this year, and the way that one ended, I can't wait to get my hands on the 2nd book. Like, that is one of the best enemies to lovers fantasy romance books ever, and I just, like, I ate that up. I feel like things are just going to become even more crazy, and I'm so excited for that one. And if you haven't read Heartless Hunter yet, then do it. You still have time until the 18th of February to catch up on the first one. It is so incredible. You follow a witch and a witch hunter, but the witch in this book is like the socialite. She hides being a witch by being this very spoiled rich girl who like throws a lot of balls, and it is so good. And I feel like also the magical system in here is so incredible. And I'm telling you girls, you'll never ever feel more empowered by your period than in this book. But yeah, that is one of my most anticipated books next year. Oh my god, I'm like funny because I talked about Wild Side earlier and I was wondering why I didn't put it down as my 5-star predictions. But you know what, guys? I did put it down on my 5-star prediction. But since I've told you about this earlier already, just know that it is actually a 5-star prediction. Wild Eye by Elsie Silver. But also coming out in March is Kiss the Villain by Rena Kent. And wow, we have a dark romance on my 5-star predictions. We don't even have a dark romance as anticipated new releases in general, just one, and that's my 5-star prediction. It's a male-male romance and we follow Gareth, and I think maybe his professor or something like that. I don't really know, but it's still part of the Rena Kent universe, which confuses me because I thought she was done with that universe. But this is kind of like a spin-off of the Legacy of God series. I also don't know if it's gonna be a series or if it's just one more book, and as I said, it's Gareth's book. But why I'm anticipating this one so much is that I'm so happy to be back with these characters, and also my only 5-star dark romance in general, and also by Rena Kent, was a male-male romance, so I know she does a very good job with it. I don't know, I'm just very, very excited for this book. So yeah, Kiss the Villain by Rena Kent is on my 5-star predictions, which brings us to April. And as I said, April is just crazy when it comes out to new releases, and I have 4 5-star predictions for April. The first one coming out April 1st. Oh, I am so excited for Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and Abby Jimenez became quickly my favorite author. One other goal of mine for next year is to go through her backlist and read her other series, because I've only read the trilogy of Part of Your World. I'll be honest, the blurb doesn't really give me a lot. They kind of have like the best date ever, but for reasons they can't be together, or she doesn't want that. She might be similar to the one in Just for the Summer, that she just doesn't really want to get attached to someone and she's like, please forget me. But obviously that's like easier said than done. I don't really need the synopsis for her. Like, I feel like Abby Jimenez by this point just can't go wrong. I love her writing so much, and it definitely is more than just a romance. Like, her books have so much depth, so much growth in the characters. I feel like I cried in all of her books so far, and I'm sure I'm gonna cry in that one as well, but I'm not mad about that. Then another highly anticipated release, also coming out in April, also early April, and who's not waiting for the conclusion of the Powerless universe, which is Fearless. I can't wait for the 3rd book and just to get everything wrapped. I didn't love Reckless as much as Powerless, but I feel like Fearless could definitely be my favorite out of all of them. And also with the plot line where we left off in the 2nd one, like that just seems like something I will eat up. So give me Fearless now. And I think almost everyone already read this trilogy, or like the first 2 books of this trilogy. But if you haven't, like, there are only 2 books out yet in this little novella, but you have until April to catch up. So what are you still doing? Like, read Powerless. It's giving Hunger Games. You have enemies to lovers, you have great banter, you have amazing quotes, you have dual POV, you have trials, you have kind of a disease that reminds me of Shatter Me, but maybe that's also just me. But yeah, Fearless coming out April 8th. So excited for that one. And then another book coming out in April, and I feel like her books always come out in April, is the new book by Emily Henry, which is Great Big Beautiful Life. And I'll be honest, this one only made it to my 5-star predictions very last minute, because Emily Henry's books are really, really good, but I'm definitely not as obsessed with her as a lot of other people, and only one book by her ever gave me the 5-star feeling. So for me to be confident enough to say this is going to be a 5-star book, you know, something has to catch my eye. And the thing that catched my eye in this one, definitely not even the story, because you have 2 writers who want to write the story of this one woman, and I think they're rivals, and very interesting that we're seeing like a similar background for our two main characters, because we had writers before Beat Read, but we also had like editors and literary agents in Book Lovers, and yeah, I'm excited for that. But you know what Emily Henry said? That the inspiration for this book, or the soundtrack for this book, is The Last Great American Dynasty by Taylor Swift. And Folklore, one of my favorite albums of all time, but also that song was my surprise song for the Hamburg show. So obviously, I feel like this is a sign. This just has to be a 5-star read for me. And as I said, like the story itself didn't really give me 5-star feelings initially. That's why I was hesitant to put it on this list. And I know that her books tend to really draw the line between, you know, a romance and just women's fiction. And this one kind of sounded, again, more leaning towards the women's fiction side, which is why I thought, not so sure about putting this on my 5-star predictions. But hey, if The Last Great American Dynasty by Taylor Swift is your inspiration for that, who am I not to predict this to be a 5-star read, you know? We have one more, and that is Rewinded Back by Liz Tom-Forde. And wow, her Windy City series is one of the best romance series out there. It's also an interconnected standalone series, so you could read like either one of the books, but I feel like this book series has such a great found family where, you know, the characters, they're all adults. They all have their busy lives, so it's not as easy to have like a found family as you would have maybe in like a college setting. But still, these people who all have such a high maintenance jobs, who, you know, travel a lot because they're all sports romances, they still just have the best friendships and the best found family, and I live for their Sunday dinners. And this book, we've all anticipated since the first one, because this is Rio's story. And Rio, from the first book, is someone who like really wants to have love, and I'm so excited for him, because one thing that Liz Tom-Forde is just so amazing at is definitely at writing her men. Her men are just the best you will ever read. Like, oh my goodness, not one of those books were less than 4 stars. I think all we really know, because we haven't even gotten a cover yet, is that Rio's story is gonna be Second Chance, which is not my favorite, but I don't even care. Like, I just want another book, and I think this is also gonna be the last book for the Windy City series, which I am really sad about. Then we have 3 more releases, 2 in May. The first one is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher, and if you've seen couple of videos of mine, you know that Lauren Asher is one of my favorite authors, and all her books are always going to be 5-star predictions. However, it's been a while since I've rated one of her books 5 stars, to be honest. Like, always very close, always above a 4-star, but they didn't give me the 5-star feeling. And I feel like with her latest series, I don't love that the setting is just small town and billionaires, because I think she always has like really fun and engaging settings, with like the Dreamland Billionaire series that was, you know, similar to Disneyland, and then also her F1 romances. However, her latest series I still really enjoy, and this is going to be the last one. And it's not just that Lauren Asher is one of my favorite authors and I always expect those books to be 5 stars. This is also Arranged Marriage. To this day, Terms and Conditions is still one of the best, and yeah, I have to thank Lauren Asher for giving me one of my favorite tropes, and that she's going to give this once more to us, to me. I'm so excited. And you also kind of saw like glimpses of this couple in her other books in the series, and I know that her books are longer, but I feel like it's worth it, because her books are a lot more character driven than plot driven, and that's something that I really enjoy. And yeah, I can't wait for Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. And I'm also wondering, like, she's coming out with that in May, and that's the last one in that series. I can't wait to see what she's coming up with next. Then another one I have here is Left Off Forever by Tara DeWitt, and I'm gonna tell you guys that I know nothing about this book. I will have to look it up, but why I have it on my list is that Chandler from BookTube is someone I really trust with her taste, because it often aligns, and when she raves about a book, I immediately know that I will love it too. She really raved about this book and said it was one of her favorites ever, so obviously I'm excited for this one. And it says an emotional, spicy, second chance romance, and I love when a book can give me both, like an emotional romance that's also spicy. That is my favorite. I'm looking forward to this new release, and I haven't read anything else by the author, but there's definitely been other books that I've been intrigued by, which is, for example, Funny Feelings and also Savor It. So I might even read another book before I go into this one by her. And my last 5-star prediction for 2025 that I have here is Gloves Off by Stephanie Archer. And I'm surprised to see this on my 5-star predictions because I like Stephanie Archer's writing, and I also like her newest series, which I'll tell you in a second what it's called. It's the Vancouver Storm series, and it's a good series, a good hockey romance series, especially the second one was so close to a 5-star read. But I haven't had a 5-star read by Stephanie Archer yet, and I've read another romance series by her before. But I think why I'm confident that this could be the 5-star read from her, I loved the little teasers and glimpses we got of these two characters and their dynamic, and I'm pretty sure that they have like a marriage of convenience as well. Oh yeah, Gloves Off is an enemies to lovers marriage of convenience hockey romance. Like, that just describes a 5-star book to me, I feel like. So very excited for that one, and I hope that it will deliver. Like, her books are equally sweet and spicy. Very excited for that one. These were all my new releases that I'm super anticipated, even the ones that I didn't mention as 5 stars. I'm still excited to see. Let me know what you're excited about for next year. Like, if I would have to choose just one book, it definitely would be Rebel Witch. Like, that book, I need now. Like, I would give anything to read this book now. I hope you enjoyed my little list of anticipated releases for next year. And I know I'm a bit off schedule with my Bookmas, but I'm really trying my best here. So I hope you have patience and give this video a like and also subscribe to see more bookish content. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!